in 1 year, I've gone from chin length to neck length to shoulder length, and I'm a little bit past collarbone. But then for 10 years, guess where your girlie was stuck? She was stuck right here. And so there's a couple of things that I realized that I stopped doing that catapulted my growth in 1 year in comparison to the past decade, that I wanted to come here and share with you, so that if that's something that you're also experiencing with your own hair, the plateau, the stagnation, that maybe you can start to think through and say, maybe if I stop doing this, let's see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, what's the best that could happen if I could just switch the way that I think about this, or I switch the way that I see that. So for all the reasons to love your natural hair again, welcome to my channel. I am Nadia, and this is the MANELife. Hi pretty girl, welcome to the channel. So in this video, we are going to talk a little bit about the odd mindsets, the things that we subconsciously think about that we don't even realize that are stunting hair growth for Black women. So for example, right, I have been stuck at chin length for, I want to say, the past decade. And it's only recently as last year, that I've started noticing growth. So I'm going to go over 5 odd mindsets, things that we do subconsciously without even realizing it, that is contributing to the stagnation of our hair. There's going to be a bonus one at the end, and so I hope that you're able to stick around all the way through. I also hope that you're able to share your own experience, if that's something that you have experienced and that's something that you've kind of overcome, and you can share with the other girlies, and we can have a nice healthy space of growth, not just with hair but with ourselves as well. Mindset number 1, something that I did for 10 years, that when I stopped doing, my hair was like, thank you. Living in someone else's hair, living on Pinterest, looking at all the ways that your hair, or that my hair, was deficient, looking at all the ways that my hair was not enough, as opposed to focusing on embracing it for what it is, right? So when you get on Pinterest, it's like you pin your goals. Like, you see a girly maybe who has thick hair, full hair, natural hair, and you're like, you know what, someday I'm going to get there, and so you pin that photo. And so I would think thoughts of just like, well, if she's a natural hair girly, and I'm a natural hair girly, and she is like, she has 4C hair and I have 4C hair, then why is it that she has thick hair and I don't? Like, I could totally get to the point where my hair is thick, my hair is full, it's not scalpy. But then in the 10 years that I thought of my hair that way, my hair did not grow. But in 1 year that I realized, oh, I think my hair is actually just fine, and it's thin and it's a little scalpy, and that is normal. That doesn't necessarily equate to it being unhealthy. That literally is just how my hair is. So in the 1 year of actually defining that for myself and accepting that for myself, my hair was like, thank you. Amen, girl. I mean, the growth skyrocketed. And even when you think about it from your own hair's perspective, right? Imagine if you're continuously being compared to something that you just are not. And for example, too, there are things that you can do with thicker strands that you can't do with fine hair. But imagine being a fine hair girly and doing things that would work for a thick hair girly. Of course, your hair is not going to respond well to that, because in order for it to grow, you have to water it, and you have to water it in the way that it wants to be watered, as opposed to a way that you think it should be watered, because you're trying to get it to be something that it ultimately isn't. For example, you think about the hair porosity. That's a thing. It's different for every girly, and a lot of times when you cater to your hair according to its porosity, then it responds positively. Even like the LCO, LOC method, imagine being one way but then catering to your hair in a separate way for a separate girly. It's not going to get that. So really, oh my god, is that a fly? Yeah, you probably saw a flyer because of the door is open. But yeah, realizing that my hair is the way it is, and it is healthy, even though it doesn't look like the next girl, it doesn't look full, it doesn't look thick, it doesn't give Pinterest, it's healthy. And as long as it's healthy, I am good. I just need to keep giving it what it needs, watering it as it needs to grow, feeding it, you know, so that it can grow. And then I started to see my hair grow. I just want to say that if you've gotten this far into the video but you haven't subscribed yet, I think you should subscribe. What I wrote for number 2 is that my hair is an anchor. It has no name and it has no identity. So what exactly does that mean? For a very long time, my hair itself has been like something that an anchor for something else to be attached to it. You know how like if you want a certain hairstyle, say for example you get a big chop, but you have to wait for your hair to grow, like if you want like boho braids or something, or like just any kind of braids, you have to wait for it to get to a certain length before you're able to braid it. So for me, no matter what length my hair was, it was only there to be an anchor for attachments. And so I would take down a certain hairstyle, I would put on the next hairstyle right away, take down that next hairstyle and put on another hairstyle right away. So my hair in itself had no name, it had no identity. It was literally just an accessory, and the main character was the extensions, as opposed to my own hair being the main character. And so of course, how is your hair going to grow if you are not prioritizing it, if it's not your standard, if you're not putting it on a pedestal? You know, how is your hair going to grow if you're catering more to the extensions and to everything else, and you know what I mean, than you are to your own hair? How is your hair going to grow if you know how to better care for something else that you add to it than you know how to care for your own hair? And this was literally my life story, and this is why I had been stuck at that same length for a decade or so. And as soon as I switched things up, as soon as I was like, you know what, maybe I should take a whole sabbatical, take a whole break. And you can see now I have extensions in, and these are actually plant-based extensions, and I have a whole video on that. I'm going to tag it somewhere in the description, or maybe somewhere you'll see it. But as soon as I was like, you know what, maybe I need to take a break from the problem, or from what is the problem at that moment, at that time, and let me really live in my hair. And oh my God, it was not easy, but a lot of times in order to really get through it, you have to go through it. And so that's exactly what I went for. I want to say an entire year, maybe like 10, 11 months, almost an entire year, no extensions, whatever. I was pressing myself to learn my own hair, and that is one of the reasons why that growth skyrocketed. So that's something to think about as well. Okay, so for number 3, I wrote product junkie, having one product per hair insecurity. Right, okay, feeling like you need one product to address one hair issue that you have, and another product to address a separate hair issue that you have. So say for example you have like scanty edges, it's not as full, right? And you go to the beauty supply store and you see some growth oil for edges only, and so you purchase it and you apply it to your edges only. Say for example you have really thin hair, and sometimes again thin hair is healthy for a lot of women, fine hair is healthy for a lot of women, but then you think maybe it's not. If like my hair is natural and I'm a black girl, why don't I have full hair? It must be full, like why is it not full? And so you go to the beauty supply store and you see a product that says thicken your hair strands, and you get that one product for that, you know, for thickening your hair strands. Say for example you have, I don't know, like dandruff, or like very like a dry scalp that like flakes up, and you see maybe a sulfur 8, you're like, okay, I need this for my dandruff issues. And something I've noticed too about ourselves is we are so quick to find anything that is wrong with us and everything that is right about somebody else. And so we will think, well, this girl has this, and so why don't I have that as well? I should have that. Imperfection too is okay. We're not supposed to be perfect. But anyway, that's a separate conversation. And so you end up piling products upon products upon products upon products, and putting all of that on your hair, and not realizing that that is low key or maybe high key being a product junkie. That is low key or maybe high key overwhelming your, like physically, literally overwhelming your hair. There was one time when I decided to go on a journey of just like going extensions free. One of the first hairstyles that I did was a wash and go. And so I looked up how like other girlies do their wash and goes, right? And this one beauty influencer, natural influencer, had all these products. You do the oil, and then you add the leave-in, and then you add the mousse, and then you the setting cream, and all this stuff. And so I followed it to the T. When I say to the T, I meant to the T. And it took time, because you know wash and goes, like you have to like you take a strand at a time, you do the little squiggly thing. I actually took it to church the next day. I want to say the day after. I had to wash that wash and go out of my hair. Why? Because my scalp was burning. Why? Because of the product overload. And so I get it that sometimes it can work for some people, but for some of the girlies it's not. But honestly, like logically, we don't need what we don't need. You know what I mean? A lot of times a little goes a long way. And if we're not careful, that product junkiness not only affects like our hair and our health, and I talk about this so often, I'm sorry if you've heard me say this before, but I have to say it for the new girlies, but it also affects your pockets. You realize that you're not done using one product, so you run off and get another product. You're not done using that, you run off and you buy another product, and guess what you're doing? You're purchasing every single time. We have some of us with cabinets and cupboards and just places in our homes that are full of hair products. And we're not even talking just about the money, we're also talking about the chemicals the chemical overload on our hair. But anyway, so that's one thing when I was like, you know what, Nadia, you need to find what works for you. You need to stick with that. I think my hair, not even I know that my hair appreciated that a lot more. And then I saw the growth. So just a little break. If you've gotten this far into the video, you agree with some things, you don't agree with some things, you're dropping a comment here and there, but you haven't subscribed yet, I'm seeing a little bit of engagement, so I think you should subscribe. Okay, so what is kind of ironic is because the inverse of that is the next reason why my hair, you know, kind of did its thing. Okay, and what I wrote here is having one miracle product for all your hair issues instead of giving it TLC. So we all know that there is a trend, hair trend, beauty trend every other day, and something that is big on the market, we've seen it before, that one oil that promises to take care of everything that your hair needs. That one little bottle, miracle growth oil, miracle whatever oil, right? I don't need to think about when I need to wash my hair. Do I need a scalp cleanse? I don't think about that. Do I need a protein treatment? Do I need like a mask? Do I need like a moisture kind of thing? Is my hair dry? Is my hair not dry? Is my hair like need a trim? You don't think about any of that. I got this one little product and that is all that I need. And I did that for a long time. But the one year that I said, you know what? Let me put the miracle product aside. Let me actually live and be present in my hair. I mean, I started knowing what my hair looks like only recently. And when I say what my hair looks like, I mean like without extensions, without additional things, what my hair just looks like on its own on me. Very recently is when that had happened. And when you see what your hair looks like, you start to, you know, like if you push yourself enough, you keep going, you start to realize, oh, okay, this is what it needs. This is what it doesn't need. Maybe I need to think about traction alopecia. Maybe these hairstyles don't need to be so tight. You know, and these are things that you're only able to do if you take a break, you experiment with your own hair. You know, you don't leave the tender love and care to one single product, because ultimately it doesn't work. As soon as I started to think about and I started to do, guess what? My hair was like, I see you, see me, girl. You finally see me and I see you. See me. I see you seeing me. You know what I'm talking about. So number 5, I wrote, feeling like you need to prove a point, explaining yourself why you're wearing certain things to certain places. Okay, so basically what I mean with this is that, so in the past, you know, in those 10 years that my hair didn't really see any growth, didn't really get any love, I did things with my hair so that I would not be questioned. I didn't want to get into the uncomfortable conversations if they happened about my hair. Why didn't you get your hair done? When to me, my hair actually is done. Oh, can I touch your hair? Like these Bantu knots, they kind of look weird. Like what is the, you know, I didn't want to have to deal with the ignorance. I didn't want to have to deal with the comments. And so I just said, you know what? I'm just going to blend right in. If it's the boho braids, I loved my box braids, and actually I did them myself. I would spend hours doing my own box braids, and it's so interesting going back to that. I think that first point was like, if we can spend hours braiding our hair with extensions, learning how maybe like a wig, you know, should be laid, different glues, we can spend hours figuring that out, months, days, years, being experts in that. We can equally do the same for our own hair. Not saying there's anything wrong with that. You can do your braids. I mean, we are Black women, we are diverse, we are very dynamic, we experiment with our looks, and that's okay. But then you equally want to do the same for your own hair. If anything, you want your hair to take the pedestal. You want it to be the standard. You want to know your hair a little more than you know everything. But anyway, I used to braid my hair down, okay, and it would look hot. What is my point? I'm losing my train of thought. One of the things I had to accept that has really helped me on my journey is knowing that I don't have to explain myself to anyone for any of the choices that I make that are related to beauty. Any of my beauty choices, I don't have to explain myself to you. I wore cornrows for a really fancy event at some point. I actually have a short for it, and a lot of girlies, a lot of you resonated with that story. It was 99% Black people, you know, and I was literally the only girly with cornrows. And of course, in a space like that, it would feel like, oh my God, I have to explain, you know, people are gonna ask, you know, why it's really cute, but why didn't you add extensions, you know? But instead, what I found a lot was girlies actually complimenting me and almost feeling inspired. And I know I'm saying this with all the humbleness in the world. Even in the comment section of that short that I made, it's like, oh my God, like, if you can do this, I can do this too. So you just feel free and you just feel weightless. And yes, it's daunting, and yes, it's like you have to be bold because you have to get ready for the questions. But at the end of the day, understanding and telling myself that I don't need to explain myself to people, that was like That was everything. And that was the exact same when I did the Bantu knots and I took the Bantu knots to work, when I did the pigtails and I took the pigtails to work, because that's also a space where people can ask. And sometimes people don't ask out of ignorance, sometimes they ask out of genuine curiosity, you know, and not really having to say, well, I just felt like, you know, just over explaining yourself, because my hair is my hair and I'm going to show up how I feel represents me best. And so that, I think, brought a level of peace to me, whereas I came to the point where I wasn't afraid to be, and I wasn't afraid to try, and I wasn't afraid to experiment. I wasn't afraid to look different, and I didn't go out there and have to preface with some kind of disclaimer of why my hair is a certain way. I remember I actually did that one time, and that was actually when I learned that now you don't need to, because a lot of times people don't even care, especially at work. At least where I work, they don't care. Like, you show up, if you're explaining, it's like they weren't even thinking about that, but thanks for the explanation. You did your hair, yes, and that's a full sentence. You don't have to explain why you did it the way that you did it. You don't have to explain what the knots are about, what the cornrows are about. You know, they kind of don't look formal. Blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do all of that. As long as I'm doing my work and I'm very competent and efficient at what I do, that's all that I need. So that is number 5. Now let's get into the bonus. So number 6 is the bonus. What did I write? Let me remind myself so that I don't blab. Another little break. If you've gotten this far into the video but you haven't subscribed yet, I think you should subscribe. Feeling like you need to stick with one extreme. Okay, what this means is you don't need to stick to the back-to-back-to-back braids, and you also don't need to stick with the back-to-back-to-back natural hairstyles. It's okay to mix. It's okay to experiment. It's okay to do one minute, switch it up and do the other. It's okay to get up, put on a wig, and have that be a protective style. It's okay to put on braids and have that be a protective style, as long as you are, I want to say, at least for me, as long as I have been intentional with my regimen. I've been intentional with like my hair calendar, my hairstyle calendar. That's all that matters. As long as I continue to put my hair as the standard, my hair as the before photo and the after photo, as opposed to just the before photo and then you put on a wig, you put on the braids, and then the after photo. I've realized that wearing extensions doesn't mean that you hate your hair. You can actually do both, because we are not a monolith, and that's the word I was looking for. You can love your natural hair, grow your natural hair out, and still wear braids, and that's okay. And you know, vice versa. You can wear braids. Wait, what is vice versa? Forget I said that. But the point I'm trying to make is you can do both. Don't feel like you have to do anything in the extremes, and actually too much of anything, whether good or bad, is bad for you. You have to find the balance with everything that you do in life, not allowing yourself to be guilt tripped by people who believe differently, because at the end of the day, it's your beauty standard is yours to define. I'm saying this because that has been my experience. I've had to realize that my beauty standard has been mine to define this entire time, and if it rubs somebody the wrong way, that is their problem to figure out. Okay, but in this space right here, we're going to do things how we want to do things. We're going to listen to our hair, what our hair tells us to do, and we're also going to listen to the girlies who mean the best for us, the girlies who have gone through the process, understand how it goes, the girlies who give you advice with love. It's not backhanded, you know, there's not a little bit of like a judgy streak in that comment. You know, the girlies who genuinely is like, I am rooting for your journey, I have been through it, and so we are acceptive, we are receptive of all of that. And yeah. And so finally, yeah, hair isn't just physical. Hair is very much psychological. There's a lot of mindsets, a lot of things that we think and we do without even realizing it that is stunting our hair growth. You know, and then when we sort of switch things up a little bit, it's like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this before? And what you realize with the hair journey is that it transcends past hair. It's bigger than hair. These are the same mindsets that if you're to apply to anything else that's not related to your hair, your relationships, spirituality, your finances, you realize that, oh my God, it's bigger than hair. But at the end of the day, your hair feels the love or the hate that you give it. Whatever it is that you give to your hair, however it is that you think about it, how you make it feel, it's going to feel it, it's going to internalize it, and it's going to respond. Either it's going to be damaged, it's going to be thirsty because, oh my gosh, why are we doing back-to-back breaks? Why are we not taking a break? You know, or it's going to feel moisturized, it's going to feel healthy, you're going to be retaining length because it's feeling the love that you're giving it. So I just think that if you've gotten this far into the video but you have not subscribed yet, you should subscribe. And so I am going to challenge you, if you're going through this, to take these mindsets and apply them maybe for the next month and see how it goes. Just do it for a month. And then if you're feeling a little like audacious, a little, you know what I mean? Then let's hit 2 months, and then let's hit 6 months, and then let's hit a year and see how it goes. It changed a lot of things for me. and I really think that it's going to do the same for you. And what I also want you to do, I would love to hear from you as you're going through your journey. Report back, whether to this video or to any of my videos, and be like, girl, this is what's going on. I would love to see it. And then if you're on the other side where you've also gone through what I've gone through, and you want to drop any tips, any way that you're feeling, anything that maybe I didn't mention, anything that I missed, this is your opportunity as well to please drop it in the chats. Period.